I've been to a couple of garage sales lately, and I found a couple of really cool things. This one cost me just a couple of bucks. It's an old realistic Portavision micro TV. Look at this. Look at how micro it is. It came with a case and a couple other things. I do not know if it works. I haven't. It takes 9 volts in. It had in the battery compartment, wherever that was, it had a whole bunch of batteries from like the 80s still in there. So we'll see how far the corrosion goes. But you know, I have a rack at the arcade, just shows a bunch of old tech, like there's an Atari 2600 up there and some other things. Just having this up there as a display is fine. So if it doesn't work, that's not a big deal. I think I paid like $5 for it. But that's not what this video is about, is it now? You've already read the title. A 2600 Behringer Gray Meanie. So the backstory is, I found this at a garage sale off island. The father had bought this, used it just a little bit, and then it stopped working. The adult son of the father said, let me get a whack at it and see if I can get it going. So the father gave it to the son. And then the son, I don't know what he did with it, other than put it up for sale in a garage sale. So he was asking $100 for it. And I was like, oh, no. If it doesn't work, I could just be buying a nice looking rack space. We plugged it in. Sure enough, nothing came out of it. And I threw out $50 and he said, fine. So I got this for $50. I do not know what's wrong with it yet. That's what this video is about. So just inspecting it, it looks like there's just a handful of screws, and maybe this just comes up. Oh, this knob, I guess, will come off. But everything else looks like it just, there's no screws or anything on the back. So I think that's the plan. So let's plug it in first. Just to make sure. Oh, you know what? I never checked the voltage on this. Hold please. All right. It's checking at 12 volts. So we're good. We're good there. So we'll plug this in up there. There's no switches back here. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much what I saw a few weeks ago. All right, let's unplug it so I don't shork myself. And let me get ready to start pulling some screws off of here. Do I have a little holder? I do have a little holder. Okay, here we go. I guess this knob needs to come off like that. There you go. Okay, that's easy enough. Is this going to be small enough? This is not small enough. So I know exactly what comments I'm going to get. I wouldn't pay $50 for a working Behringer synth. Yeah, I know. Good for you, pal. My thought about Behringer synths, I'm a little on the fence for their original ones, like the Deep Mind. They're knocking those out of the park. I think that's a fantastic synth. Love it. For stuff they haven't made in forever, like I think that the 2600 architecture is no longer under trademark or copyright or anything like that. So, you know, have at it. That's fine. I think, didn't Korg or someone make one of these? And same with like the Moog stuff. Sorry, Moog. Moog? Moog. Moog? Moog. I don't remember. We've had this conversation before. I know a lot of their stuff wasn't trademarked or copywritten or whatever you do with engineering schematics. So having other people copy that stuff, I mean, there's like synth.com. They're making all the original Moog modules and things, and nobody shits their pants over that. But when Behringer does it, everybody freaks out. Ah, okay. So everything is attached. There's a ribbon cable. There's a ribbon cable. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Does this come off? Is it good? I don't know if... I don't have a way to set this down. Is this going to work for us? Oh, almost. That is not going to work for us. All right, what do we got going on here? This is going to be hard to film unless I can get this off. And this looks like it's always going to be there. Hey! That's a spring reverb. I thought only the blue ones had the spring reverb. Well, okay, so worst case scenario, I have a $50 spring reverb tank. That's not so bad, I guess. I wish I could get in here a little bit better so I can see what's going on. This might be kind of hard to show. I guess I'll just try to get this off of here. There we go. Okay. And unplug this. Oh, did you see that? That was barely seated in there. I don't know which one of these is power. Interesting. Okay. Hold on a second here. I'm just going to look at this real quick. I don't see anything obvious. Like, nothing's blown up or anything. I usually, for stuff like this, I like to start at power, because if you're not getting power, you're not going anywhere. It looks like someone's been in here already. Interesting. Okay. It's a little, I don't know, a little grubbier than I expected. Anyway, so I like to start with power. So if it isn't this, then we can check the solder points on the plug, because I've seen those fail too. But let's plug this in. It is off, okay. I don't want to be touching anything while I'm doing this. Let's just set that in there nice and firm like. Oh, are you freaking kidding me? Okay, well, it's pretty, but it doesn't mean it works. Because that, I don't know if you could see it, but this was not, it was not seated on this side, and I don't know which is power. I wonder if we can figure that out. Just kind of looking at it, I can't figure out which one of these pins is power. Okay, let's close this, and then I guess we'll take it upstairs and we'll plug it in and see if we can get any squeaks out of it. I guess that's the next place to go. I'm not gonna. Oh, did I? Okay. Oh, my mic is stuck on it. All right, let's do that. Let's unhook my mic from the thing. This is still plugged in. Okay. Let's drop this back down. And let's just put a couple of screws back in. It still might not work. I wonder if the sun even opened this. I mean, it does. I don't know if that's what they look like from the factory, but It did look a little grubbier on the board than I expected, but it looked like I had a bunch of sticky leftover, maybe something left over from the soldering process, perhaps. Don't know. Okay. Wait, that's mine. Come back. That's good enough for now. All right, let's take it upstairs. Let's see if it does anything. Right, we've got it set up here. Look at this. This is my other, like, I've been scoring all these really cool deals. This is like an old school, just a simple Apex stand. It was like $10 at a thrift store. I don't think they knew what it was. Yeah, that's pretty cool, and it works fine. I won't use it a lot, but it's great for stuff like this, right? I picked up this little Squire P-Bass. It's 2009, I think. Heavy as crap. It needs strings. But I only have the fretless over there, and sometimes you just need a fretted bass. Anyway, okay, where was I? Let's get this hooked up, and I will continue my rant about Behringer crap. All right, power's in. Yeah, so anyway, I think they're doing a good job at bringing, oh wait, this is, yes, in. MIDI channel 1, doot doot. They are all down for MIDI channel 1. All right. I like that all of the MIDIs are on the back. That's cool. But they're bringing a lot of like hardware synthesis to the masses, really. I mean, not everybody can afford a a $3,000 synth, but you can get a little mono synth for a couple $100. That's awesome. I need audio stuff. I guess we'll plug this in the right way. I mean, there is the thing to be said about them stealing designs from smaller companies. That I don't really like. And things like a couple of the devices that I've just played with recently, where the old Simmons drum emulation thing, and they kept the paint and the design. They could have just came out with a drum synth and said it's similar to this and created it their own theme and everything, and that probably just for PR would have been better. But I don't know. I like them. I think that they're great. I think that they're holding up well. Yes, they're of medium quality, medium to higher quality, I guess. I mean, they're not bad. Made in China, but what isn't these days? So, okay, enough talking about that. Let's see if it does fire up. I think this one always sends out on, because I use this to test other things. We should be all right. I don't know anything about these, really. Fine tunes are in the middle. We'll put these sort of in a mid-range kind of deal. Sample and hold I don't need to mess around with, do I? No, probably not. Voltage controlled amplifier. Envelope generator. Okay, so this should make a thing. I don't know what I'm doing on these. I guess I turn it on. Turn on our speakers. Well, that's something. That's working. Reverb's working. They're a little crunchy. They've probably been sitting in a closet for a while. Okay, that's that one. All right, mixer. Okay, I get it. Here's your mixer, so there's your volumes. I like that that flashes. That's really cool. It flashes with the beat of what your LFO is. And same with your sample and hold. Oh, and we can switch out for this, so we can... Oh, that's kind of cool. I might have a lot of fun with this. Spring reverb. It's working. $50, man. Love it. Now I got to figure out where the hell to put it. This is a big box. This is a big rack mount. Yeah, we'll figure that one out later. Anyway, it was a ribbon cable. That's all it was. Simple fix. I'll put the screws back in. Maybe I'll hot glue that back in place. Well, I was saving the spot, but this is only this 7 feet tall tower monolith of monosynths. It matches the ceiling, so that's a thing.